like column for this, like this final science section of this podcast, comes with researchers having located the perfect solar system, as they call it. Forged without the violent collisions that have made our own like hodgepodge of like.
Nos vamos a ir a vivir para allá.
No, let me land. Okay. The system 100 light years away, which is a fucking really far distance. That's my translation.
Una vez los aliens vinieron porque saben que este planeta está a punto de destruirse y nos van a llevar para allá. Y están tratando de que nosotros le cojamos confianza so we can go willingly.
I pretty much will go anywhere if you tell me the planet's about to get destroyed. You don't need to convince me. You know?
Eso fue. Ellos están jodidos, ¿sabes por qué? Si nosotros no confiamos en el vecino, que te hace pensar en alguien que vino de otro planeta.
I mean, I'm going okay, listen, if an alien tells me with proof, that the planet is gonna be destroyed, I'm going. I'm not staying here to die.
What kind of proof you want?
Like, proof that they know what they're talking about? And that they're not just making shit up to try to trap me to do horrific, inhumane things to me? You know what I mean?
I know, but what kind of thing will prove to you?
I'm not sure. I'm assuming they can think of something. You know what I mean? If they know for a fact that the planet's about to be destroyed, they have to have proof of why they think that. You know what I mean? All I have to do is see that proof too. You know what I mean? See, I'm a scientist at the end of the day. You can't just tell me a thing and then expect me to believe you without evidence. That's not how this works. You know what I mean?
Yo voy a decir algo, por eso para otro tema de otro día.
¿Qué?
Así es la religión.
That.
And we all know that I'm a bad Christian, apparently. So, you know what I mean? The system 100 light years away has 6 planets, all about the same size, which is extremely rare. I'm just going to put that out there. They've barely changed since its formation up to 12 billion years ago. This is the most interesting thing I have read all year. You know what I mean? These undisturbed conditions make it ideal for learning how these worlds formed and whether they host life, because they've been so unchanged since they formed that you don't have to worry about the same things that we have to worry about on our planet. So, like, the thing with geology, right, is that the Earth is constantly destroying its own crust. You know what I mean? Over time. So, if something lived on this planet, like 100 million years ago, for example, but it didn't get preserved as a fossil, we have no idea that it ever existed. You know what I mean? So, for all we know, there could have been fucking dragons on Earth and we
Y ahí
have
está la
no
prueba de por qué
idea.
no encuentran pruebas de muchas
You know what I
cosas que
mean?
supuestamente no existieron.
Because if they just were not fossilized and preserved for some reason, for a variety of reasons it could be, but I'm not going to get into it. You know what I mean?
Se desintegran.
Yeah, we just don't know. You know what I mean? Like, the evidence could be buried in the mantle, you know? So it's like one of those things that these planets having been so unchanged now, I would be curious to know if they have tectonic activity on any of these planets.
No, pues ya tú
You know
estás
what I
en
mean?
tu fal.
But that would require actually getting rock evidence from these planets. I don't think we're that advanced yet. So, you know, but yeah, so basically that's what they said. The creation of our own solar system was a violent process, as anyone who has taken any kind of astronomy or has like a budding interest in it would know. It was an extremely violent process. Obviously the star formed. I'm giving a Milky Way formation 101 short version. So sorry, but I feel like some people might ask, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There'll probably be people in the comments like, oh, how did the solar system form? You know what I mean?
I don't care about how the solar
Generally
system
speaking,
formed.
solar systems form through a lot of collisions between, like, protoplanets is what they call them. So, like, the first versions of planets that form from, like, a bunch of matter and, like, dense objects and gases that kind of compress gravity, force, etc. You know what I mean? They form little planets, then they keep colliding into each other, getting bigger or completely destroying other planets.
You want
and then
popcorn?
no, and then those tiny fragments can become moons around planets. It's a whole process. And that's normal for solar systems. That's what happened with ours. That's why all the planets are different sizes. You know what I mean? So for a solar system to have a bunch of planets that are the same size is extremely weird. Because that basically means that none of them ever collided into each other in such a way that it deformed them at all.
That's heaven. Because it's perfect.
Well, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
As planets were forming, some crashed into each other, like I said, disturbing orbits and leaving us with giants like Jupiter and Saturn. Like, alongside relatively small worlds like our own. Like, Mercury is extremely small. So, in the system, this is a very scientific name for the system. I hate that they decided to name it this. It is HD 110067. Because they can never just name a thing in an easy way. You know what I mean? And they've rather dryly named it that. That's what they say in the article. And it's true. Things could not be more different. Not only are the planets similarly sized, in a far cry from the unrelated timing of the orbits of the planets in our own solar system, these rotate in sync.
Sí, pero ponte a pensar ahora, otra vez un poquito dándole para atrás a los nombres. Si a Milky Way lo llamaron Milky Way, imagínate el nombre de todos los sitios que ellos consiguen.
Yeah, that's true. Some of these galaxies have stupid names. You should see some of the names that they give planets.
Mira los huracanes, los nombres que les
¿Tú vas a comer más de eso?
No, gracias.
And also, you can tell a lot of astronomers are nerds because they give them the most fantasy-related names ever. You know what I mean?
¿Habrá un planeta que le dicen Tatooine?
Oh, God. I hope not. But yeah, these rotate in sync with each other. In the time it takes for the innermost planet to go around the star 3 times, the next planet along goes around twice, but they're like circling at the same time. You know what I mean? And so on out to the 4th planet in the system. From there, things change to a 4:3 ratio pattern. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Of relative orbit speeds for the last planet. That's extremely scientific. I don't think anyone cares about all those details. This planetary choreography is so precise that the researchers have created a cyclical musical piece, like akin to a Philip Glass style composition. You know what I mean? With notes and rhythms corresponding to each planet in their orbital periods. If you guys have ever heard something like that, it is amazing. The music that people create from sound out into space, like the waves, it's so cool. I would recommend that you guys check that out at some point.
Okay, aliens.
They described it as the perfect solar system. It's ideal for studying how planets are formed because the solar system didn't have the chaotic beginnings ours did. So you can actually study it and know that that's how it was when it first formed. You know what I mean? I have no idea how they know that that's how it was when it first formed. I would have to ask these astronomers how they know that because I'm not that advanced. I have an astronomy minor, not a major. So, and of course, it's really exciting just seeing something that no one has seen before. That's what some of the scientists have said. Yeah, it's pretty cool. They're what astronomers call sub-Neptunes because they're larger than Earth
Fue por la tangente.
and smaller than the
¿Qué
planet
tiene que ver
Neptune.
eso con los aliens?
Porque
Yo...
Because they're saying, because it's a perfect solar system, if it has life, you know what I mean?
Exacto.
Or if it has signs of life, we can more easily extract it if we can find a way to get there and remove samples. You know what I mean? You don't have to, like, worry about, you know,
Okay.
maybe like
Eso es lo que me molesta. Los científicos están cogiendo la ruta que no tienen que coger. That doesn't matter right now. Los aliens ya están acá. A lo que ellos llegan allá a coger samples en tu...
Yeah.
O sea, hello.
If
I'm
there's
just
already
saying.
life here, then I don't really know why we're like. Then again, I don't think that a lot of astronomers in the program even believe that there's actually aliens here. If they have irrefutable proof, if they had it, they wouldn't be looking that far away. You know what I mean? But I'm imagining that means that the aliens are either not that forthcoming if they do exist, or they're not allowed to be forthcoming. You know what I mean?
What do you mean?
Like the government doesn't allow it, or their government
what?
doesn't allow it, forthcoming, like honest. You know what I mean? They're not allowed to come forward. You know what I mean?
No creo que se dejen manipular por el humano.
Well, we don't know what this is, what the situation is. It could be a treaty. It's not necessarily they're being manipulated. It could be like we'll give you this as long as you don't
Yeah,
expose
they
yourself.
have a treaty. Ellos le dan humanos para que los estudien a los aliens.
That's jumping to conclusions, man.
That's what it is. Y los aliens le dan tecnología a cambio
Yeah.
al humano.
So we've gone through a mini science section, a mini government section, very mini government section, and several stories. We have something else left, right?